The first step is to gather your shea butter. Put it up in pieces as much as you can in a bowl. And then you're going to go ahead and get as many oils as you can. You can use vegetable oil, olive oil, tea tree oil, all kinds of oils, even from your grocery store. Here I'm using some plain old vegetable oil from the grocery store. Pouring that in, we'll mix it in a second with a blender. And then we will also have some jojoba oil. This is from Natural 21. I got this original recipe from her. I adapted it, so that's jojoba oil. And then after you get that oil, you can mix that with some castor oil. I have the organic oil. I believe I got that online on Amazon. And you'll pour some of that in. I just eye it out. I don't have specific measurements. But you do want to have enough oil in here that it's not too thick because you want it to be a cream. I also have some argan oil. I don't believe that that was in the original recipe, but I use whatever I have on hand. So argan oil has a very nice texture and smell to it. You can even use Moroccan oil, hair oil. Then I have some vitamin E. I don't use a lot of that. Just a few drops of vitamin E oil is enough. Okay, and then after that, I ran out, so you'll see me pouring. It looks like I'm pouring in a lot more than what's really in there. There's not much left in the container. And then I have a very small amount of tea tree oil. I only do a few drops of that because tea tree oil is very, very strong. And you do want to use a carrier oil like vegetable oil if you use tea tree oil. So I put a few drops, as you can see there, in of my tea tree oil. And then after that, I have, of course, my shea butter is what I originally put in. And if it's very, very hard, then you might have to wait for it to soften. That will make it easier. And then I went ahead and I didn't use the blender. I used the hand mixer because it was easier for me to use the hand mixer. And I began to mix it all together. As you can see, I used the mixer and it was very, very messy. I made a huge mess at first, so I would recommend a larger bowl than the one I used because I used a good amount of shea butter. And you just mix until it's a nice creamy texture. You don't want it to turn into liquid, but it will be a very good creamy texture. Not as creamy as lotion, thicker than that, but creamy enough that you could spread it around in you or your child's hair. And I just keep mixing. You can see it's very oily on my hands. Just keep mixing until all of those oils blend very, very well with my original shea butter. And you can see the cream that looks very whippy. The texture is still going to have a thickness to it. It is not quite as loose as mayonnaise, but it is a good, rich texture. And if you have thick hair like our family does, we have 4B, 4C hair, then this will work very well for your hair. We have a lot of hair. Okay, so then I take a bag, and this is a trick I learned, to pour everything into the bag, and you're going to poke a hole at the bottom of the bag so that you can squeeze it out into a container. I use the old container that I had from takeout in order to pour it in and then just put a top on it and labeled it as hair oil. I also use this as cream. I also use this cream for our body as well, and I will tell you, it works better than any lotion that I have ever used in the winter time to keep me and my family's skin moisturized. It goes deep into the pores, and I do not have to worry about constantly putting lotion on our skin in the winter time where it's very dry outside. So you'll see here that I'm going to squeeze it all together, get the air out of it, and then I'll get my container next. And you're going to try not to get too much of it on the sides, I cut a hole into my container. It's going to take me a couple tries, but I cut a hole into the bottom of the container and literally begin to squeeze it into the container. And you'll see this nice, rich, creamy texture, full of nutrients for your hair, oils, and the shea butter as your foundation to moisturize your hair. And I use this with water. I use it with oil sometimes, even though it already has oil in it, and cream. So I do the lock method: liquid, oil, and then cream. So water, oil, some kind of oil, and then the cream that I'm making here is what I usually use. For my own hair, because I have low porosity hair, I switched the lock method to LCO. So I do liquid, cream, and then I do my oil at the end. Alright, so here I am pouring it in, squeezing it in actually. And like I said, it's going to take a couple tries to get it all out, but there it is. It is coming through now, and this is how you can create your own method of pouring it in without making a huge mess into your container. And you'll get a lot of cream out of this. I'll probably go ahead and use the rest of the cream, shea butter in my container to make even more. So now you're going to spread everything flat so that you can put the top onto your container, as you see me doing here. And you'll have a beautiful, creamy texture that you can now put into your kid's hair. You can see my baby Corey, he loves to get this done to his hair and play with it himself. And at the end, you'll have a really creamy, beautiful texture, that causes his texture to pop even more, and all his curls will come out. He was not happy about all this in his head, so he might be throwing a little fit, but he's okay. He has water in his hair, and his hair is already washed. And ta-da, there you have it, a beautiful, cute, moisturized bun.